welcome to the Total Soccer Show and a very special edition of USMNT Weekly. It is the inaugural Total Soccer Show USMNT Draft. Yes, my trusty co-hosts are going to pick from the full US talent pool to build their best 11-man lineups. Who's going to end up with the best team? And could any of them beat Panama or Canada? Let's find out. My name's Ryan Bailey. Joining me today, my first draftee. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello, Taylor.
I mean, it's a perfect introduction. It is also too soon, but it is also kind of specifically how I've built my theoretical team. So, yes, that is the goal. And then also maybe beating Joe and Graham at the same time. That's secondary goal.
So we have a competitive element to this episode, and we have something where you could get lost down a rabbit hole researching it. Have you checked both boxes, Taylor?
You know that I have. You know that I spent way too long doing this. Did I have, like, maybe some anxiety attacks trying to figure out who could fit where and why there aren't more players that can do this and why don't we have attackers? Yeah, no, I went down that rabbit hole.
There you go. Strap in, listener. Joe Lowry's here. Hello, Joe.
Hey, Ryan. Yeah, I also went down a pretty big rabbit hole. Taylor was talking pregame about how he's got some if-then sequences in his notes. I also kind of have that and maybe had an existential crisis while doing this. Yeah. But I'm ready. I'm not here to beat Panama. I'm not here to beat Canada. I'm here to beat Taylor Rockwell, and I'm here to beat Graham Ruthven. That is my singular goal. The Discord will decide. Let's do this thing.
And speaking of Graham Ruthven, Joe, I think my favorite thing about that pre-show chat was you and me talking about how we have our if-thens. And I believe Graham's question was, is it 5 aside or is this 11 aside? So an equal level of preparation and thought, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm just gonna channel whatever comes to me during this show. The European mind cannot comprehend a draft, and so the thought of your preparation being like a choose your own adventure research is just it's beyond me. So I'm just gonna see what comes out in this episode.
So Graham, to clarify, no rabbit holes were damaged in the preparation for this episode from your part.
I'm gonna leave that for the episode itself.
Very good.
Beware, rabbits.
Looking forward to it. Very good. All right, patreon.com/Total Soccer Show is where you'll find our bonus content. And as clarified, we're going to have the people of the Discord pick the winning drafted team from this here episode. You can do that once more at patreon.com/Total Soccer Show to sign up. Best way to support this here endeavor. And you get bonus episodes and bonus video. It's wonderful. I do recommend it. We're also on YouTube if you want to watch us live. Not live, pre-recorded. But it's on, you see our faces. On
Close
YouTube,
enough.
Link in show notes. Close enough, but not quite close enough is what I would say. There. All right. Let's get a draft in, shall we? To get the rules out the way. I'm just looking at the rules that Taylor sent over. So it's a snake draft. We assume the full health of everybody with active eligible players. And Taylor gets first pick. Is that everyone agreed? Are we good?
I mean, see, Taylor can have the first pick because really where you want to be is you want to be around the turn. You want to be around the first turn. I'm all about depth over quality.
Okay.
Just kidding. Please don't give Taylor the first pick.
So I do have a mechanism to...
There it is. There's the authentic answer.
Gents, you'll be pleased to hear I have a mechanism to pick the draft order. I'm holding 3 bananas.
Oh, wow.
In my hand.
Amazing.
Left.
I'm going to let Graham pick the first banana, so you can go middle. You can go.
How is this going to be
my
objective?
left.
They're clearly different sizes.
Each banana has a number on it, and it has the draft pick.
Oh, all right. That was a little unclear, if we're being honest.
So you always have to pick the middle banana.
You didn't just assume that the bananas had numbers on them, Joe?
No, that's honestly, that's my bad. That's my bad. That does not
Middle-
portend
the
success
magic
for me
trick.
today.
If you peel the banana, it's going to have your team in it already.
Middle banana, please.
Middle banana, Graham gets first pick.
Oh,
Congratulations,
well
Graham.
done. Jenna Robinson's off the board. What a shame.
Joe, would you like pick 2 or 3? I.e., which banana would you like?
I would like the banana on your left.
This is my left. And it is. Pick 2.
All right.
Taylor gets pick 3. I've written on some bananas. That's how I spent my morning, everybody. There we go. Draft order has been established. Just to get into sort of the strategy and the technique, we'll get to the first pick very shortly. But I'm presuming, Graham, there's probably 2 names that would be up for first pick.
As far as I'm concerned, yeah, there is. And this is where I could potentially get caught in the weeds in my own theory of like picking players who I believe are important to the team over players who are just better in terms of talent. I might be teasing what my conundrum is there with my first pick between 2 players. So
Okay.
You can say the players, Graham. They're not both going to be back there for you.
We don't influence second pick, Joe.
It's like, oh right, that guy. I forgot to write him down. Yeah,
they're gonna be gone. Talk to people through it.
I'll say just before we get to that, secretly I'm disappointed Taylor didn't get first pick, so we didn't get a 17-year-old dual national goalkeeper as first
Yeah,
pick.
Alex
That's what I was
Paulson.
expecting. Yeah.
Has been drafted in. Is he eligible?
Who told you my strategies? Oh, me? Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so it's Jedi versus Pulisic, right?
All right,
Pulisic is I would imagine is the most talented player in the pool, but feel pretty good about my take coming out of the last window that Jedi might be the most important player in this team, or certainly I called it a disaster when he was missing. So yeah, that's the dilemma that I've got straight off the bat.
Okay. The draft is beginning. You're on the clock, Graham. Who is your selection?
I am going to go for Jedi Robinson. I think the weeds are going to drag me down here, and Pulisic is going to be off the board very quickly, and then I'm going to regret not having that attacking quality in the final third. But the thing that is pushing me towards Jedi Robinson is we saw in the last camp how important he is to this team. When he's out of the team, the US doesn't really have a funnel into the final third. And if I don't have him, I don't feel great about the other left back options. Whereas in the attack, I feel like I've maybe got some more other directions to go in. So yep, I'll take Jedi, please.
Very good. Excellent first pick. We go now to Joe Lowry, who's going to pick Christian Pulisic.
That's correct. So I will pick Christian Pulisic. I mean, Graham, your take did age really, really well. I think you're spot on in that Jedi Robinson does something that no other high-level left back in the pool can do, right? Caleb Wiley, I think, is kind of a Jedi Robinson regen in a lot of ways, but he's not at the level. Like, the dude is playing deeper down the pyramid in England, not in the top flight in England, right? I think that's a pretty clear indicator, or at least a useful illustration to present the facts that Jedi Robinson is a higher level player right now. And we saw how much the U.S. missed him. Pulisic is a talent play for me. I was half tempted and still kind of am half tempted to turn this into full Red Bull ball, and Pulisic doesn't really fit into that because he is not that sort of super energetic ball winning kind of player. But I did go with the talent play here. I'm very worried about left back moving forward. I honestly have no idea which option I feel next best about to fill that spot, but I will go with Christian Pulisic, the obvious pick in pick 2.
Okay, and just you mentioned the Red Bull sort of style of play there, Joe. Are you actually going for a philosophy for this team, or is it just best talent wins, who's on the board?
I am going to go for a philosophy, but I don't yet know what that philosophy is.
Yeah, ask him that at the end of this episode.
No, seriously, if I'd had the third pick, and I assumed at that point that one of Taylor or Graham would have taken Pulisic, one of the other would have taken Jedi. Maybe that was wrong. Tyler Adams might be, Taylor's first round pick regardless.
I have a prediction that Joe would not take Pulisic with his second pick. So there you go, Joe. That pretty much confirms your theory.
Yeah, so if these guys had taken Pulisic and Jedi Robinson, I really was tempted to go like just full on against the ball, snap up Tyler Adams, go and cause absolute chaos. And I think that would have worked fairly well because the attacking talent is not very abundant in this pool at the moment. But Pulisic was there. Got to play with the cards you're dealt, and I have the most talented player in the pool on my team.
All right. Does Taylor Rockwell conclude round 1 with Tyler Adams?
He does not. He concludes round 1 with Serginho Dest.
Ah.
Yes. And he is actually my number 1 pick. If I had number 1, I probably would have taken him. As strange as that might be, with the way I want my team to play, I share both of your concerns about the attack and the lack of options in certain areas of the pitch, which means I also have the next pick, correct?
Correct.
This is a snake draft. You have the next pick.
Which would be why my next pick is Ricardo Pepi. Which is also maybe very surprising given who I am leaving to Joe. But I think
Brian
with
White.
the way I would like my team to play, I think I can suffer with not having certain key players on the team. But I do think you have to have some potency in attack, and I think the drop-off is pretty steep there pretty quickly. So I will go with Dest, and I'm clearly showing that I think he's going to be involved in the attack, and then I'm going with Ricardo Pepi.
Can I ask a genuine question? And part of me I just want to try not to constantly be propagandizing for my team, so I'm going to frame it this way. Do you actually believe, Taylor, that there is a big drop-off from Pepi to Balogun or from Pepi to Sargent? Okay, so
yes to that.
Yes to that.
I think it is 1A and 1B, and then I think it's a pretty sizable drop off in my mind. I'm not sure if you threw me if Chris Wood were American, he is 1
maybe.
and maybe 2 and maybe 3, and then it's like Pepi and Balogun. That's my level of confidence, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think of the options, those are 1 and 2 for me, and with the way I want my team to play. Even if Balogun is probably a better player overall, with what I would like the U.S. to do under my dictatorship, which is what it will be. I think I need a player who is more of the Pepe model. So that's what I have gone with. I think Balogun probably the better player, but for what I want to do, I think Pepe goes sooner, and then I'm in a lot of trouble. So I will take Pepe.
And I'm not even asking this as someone who's trying to prop up Florian Balogun, because I pretty much put a pause on that, right? He hasn't been good at Monaco. He hasn't been healthy. I don't really know what Florian Balogun is to this team. I especially don't know what he is to this team when Gio Reyna is basically a non-factor, right? Because Florian Balogun's best moments with the U.S. have come when Gio Reyna is feeding him the ball, and that's true for basically every 9 in this pool. And I think it's going to be hard for any of these guys to produce without someone like a Gio Reyna, even if it's not Gio Reyna, finding them regularly. And I don't think really many folks would disagree with that necessarily. What is it about Pepe, Taylor, that has you thinking that he is that level above, slight level above Balogun, and that full level above Sargent? I'm not sure that I'm all the way there yet, even though I think I probably do agree with you somehow.
How
both,
nerdy
right?
how nerdy do you want me to be here? Because like I can reveal my strategy.
No, you don't have to reveal your strategy.
No.
I guess I'm just curious.
Yeah. So I go back to those games against Canada and Panama and how the U.S. had no real ideas to break an opponent down. Now, people who can figure that out are much smarter than I am and do it professionally. The best ways I can think to do it are to have more threatening possession in like further up the pitch to cause more problems, or to have options who can just give you different looks and make you allow you to change it up. And I think Pepe in the air, I would back him over Balogun for sure. And then I think if we have more possession, I think Pepe could facilitate more possession through the middle and drop a little bit deeper and let others kind of run in behind. Whereas Balogun, I think if I'm going for a more like counter-attacking team and more direct style of play, that's what I think of for him. Maybe that's incorrect, but I think for like possessing the ball and wanting to have different ways of scoring, I think that's Pepe for me.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
There we are. Joe Lowry, you're on the board. Who is your
Oh,
second
I'm on the
pick?
board. I am on the board. Oh, I got too busy asking Taylor questions and not busy enough. I've got my notebook. I don't usually do notebook. I've got my notebook to my right with my big board on it. I've got my notes up above on my laptop with notes on it. I feel like I'm in an NFL draft war
Joe,
room right now.
Are you a historical Russian leader? Because you are stalling right now.
I will be picking Cam Ward with the first overall pick. That's what I'm trying to say. Tim Weah is my pick. Tim Weah is my next pick. I think Tim Weah. So a couple of things I really like about Tim Weah. Now that Serginho Dest is off the board, I'm really intrigued about Tim Weah at right back. I don't know that that's where I'm going. That's a problem for future Joe. I also think I'm getting the only 2 starting caliber wingers in the pool, which is not to say that either one of y'all's teams have to play with wingers. I was thinking about not doing that myself, but I guess that's probably where I'm trending right now. I think Tim Weah is really underrated in the U.S., and I think a lot of people think he's a very good player, our foursome included. But his ability to combine and his ability to provide service from the wing, his positional versatility that he can play on either side and in either fullback position or be a wingback if that's where the wind blows me here, I really think Weah is a written-in pen starter for Pochettino, even if Pochettino hasn't quite figured out how to use him yet. And he is certainly a written-in pen starter because we're only drafting 11 players on my team. So here we go.
Very good. Excellent stuff. Graham, would you like to see us out of round 2 with your next pick?
Yeah, that's a good pick, Joe. He might have been in my thoughts as well for the reasons that you outlined. I also have a strategy that I want to get to. Whether I am able to get to that strategy will be determined by the end of this episode. But I'm going to take Tyler Adams as a structural piece for my team.
Moment of silence for Taylor, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Taylor. There are... Look, if Tyler Adams... I kind of anticipate...
a planned sacrifice. It's okay. It's okay.
I'd kind of anticipated he'd be off the board by now already, to be honest. So I was okay with taking another defensive midfield option or midfield anchor option, but I do think there's a pretty big drop-off between him and the second option in that position. So I'll take Tyler Adams, please.
Good stuff. All right. Let's do one more round of drafting before we hit a break, which means Graham Ruthven, you back.
Oh no, I forgot this is how this works, and I haven't put any thought into
I
my next pick
suspected
is.
that was the case. I'll stall for you, Graham. I suspected as you reached your dramatic conclusion that maybe you didn't have an immediate follow-up to extend that conclusion. So I'm very excited to see where we head next. I would say, if you wanted to hurt Joe, there is Balogun
Hold
still
on.
on the board.
Hold on. Careful.
Okay, so you have applied an alternative motive to this pick for me. It was not designed to hurt Joe.
Why is it just
That was
about
the
me?
direction-
Why is
that
it
was
just
the-
about
that
me?
That was the direction I was already going to go in because it feeds into my strategy. I am going to take Fuller and Balogun.
What's
off
your
the
strategy?
board
Draft good players? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean,
I'll
Graham?
keep the cards close to my chest for now.
So far, you've just drafted 3 starters: Adams, Jedi, and Balogun.
He's
Like,
rattled, Graham.
Oh,
He's rattled.
What a terrible strategy that is.
Well, I'm just saying. You're saying it like it's some unique concept that Taylor and I aren't trying to do.
I
Well played.
never said it was an innovative one. I
Fair
just said
enough.
it was a strategy.
Fair enough.
I'm
okay.
looking forward to sort of rounds 9 or 10 when some of you are desperate to actually field a team that fits in the right position.
Oh, I'm really excited for who Joe is going to rationalize himself into as being a number 9. Let's do this thing.
I mean, unless y'all are going to take Josh Sargent and go with 2 strikers, then I'm feeling okay. Josh Sargent's going to be playing in the Premier League next year, scoring goals. So, up next, I didn't say which country's Premier League.
Latvia, baby.
Up next, I am going with my heart, and I also think that my head is playing a real part here, but I'm picking Diego Luna for my team up next.
No, that's not where I thought you were going to go with that.
This nobody believes me. I'm telling you, nobody believes me. No one on this show believes me. I don't know that there's a listener who believes me. I have set aside my Gio Reyna train, and I've hopped on the only other reasonably involved playmaker that the U.S. has at the moment. It's early on Diego Luna, and it wouldn't surprise me at all, to be clear, if we are sitting next summer in Los Angeles, the 4 of us, taking in the U.S.'s opening World Cup game against hopefully Latvia, a winnable game.
Scotland.
Yeah, that works too.
Also a winnable game.
and if Diego Luna's not in the squad, or if Diego Luna is on the bench and doesn't feature, I think that's totally possible. It's early for Diego Luna, but his stock really does seem to be rising. And in an era where Gio Reyna is just, you honestly cannot count on him. And that's where I've come around to, is just not even worrying about it anymore. Whatever Gio Reyna gives you is a bonus. And I don't want that in my team. I want somebody who is reliably going to be able to impact games. Christian Pulisic talked about how he loves Luna's personality, and Tyler Adams was talking about his heart and his personality as well. And I think it shows on the field, and I want that in my team. I think the U.S. needs more of that, and I want Luna's creativity feeding my my wingers here. So I'm going with Diego Luna.
Love it.
I'm not gonna lie. Fully gambled on Joe still being in Team Reyna on this one.
Yeah,
I know you did.
And,
I know you
and
did.
the drafters might have to do some reconfiguring. I'm not gonna
Everybody
lie.
did. No, guys, this is not a bit. Like, I'm over it. I'm truly over it. As an individual, as a fan, I'm just tired of it. And so I'm going somewhere else. Here we go.
All right.
Yeah, keep pointing it out aggressively and frequently, and that is the way to convince people that you're definitely over it, Joe. I'm over it.
Nobody
every
believes me. Nobody believes me. I did say set aside though. I didn't say just absolutely kill. So I'm, there's still some strings, but
Well, Graham, here's the exciting thing. I will tell you now, I am not taking Gio Reyna with either of the next 2 picks. So when it comes back around to Joe, we'll see. We'll see for sure.
the temptation's so
If he
strong.
immediately is like, but sometimes you've got to back a guy.
Despite everything that I've said,
I mean, come on though. On a real note, Pulisic, Luna, Weah, and Reyna in an attacking foursome. I mean, sounds pretty good. We'll see.
Say it again.
Pulisic, Luna, Reyna, and Weah in an attacking foursome. Come on, as a U.S. fan, that gets you like a little excited.
I mean, no. Oh, dude, there was a little bit of a flutter in here,
Yeah.
in this cold heart of mine. But
Take Reyna, Taylor.
I would worry about the defending. I am going to pick 2 players again that I don't think are the best remaining in the pool, but I think for what I would like this team to be, I think are pretty important. So my next pick is Johnny Cardoso. Yep. Gonna mix it up there, and I'm gonna go again for the way I would like them to play with Yunus Musa as my next pick.
Okay. I didn't give you permission to go into round 4, but you've done it
I
anyway.
apologize, and you did actually say we're gonna take a break after this round, so I apologize for extending us. I hope you will accept my heartfelt apologies, moderator extraordinaire, and I do apologize for violating the rules.
That was very big of you to do that. I appreciate it.
Can I have the next pick now?
That's it. I'm gonna let these guys go first, then we'll come back to you. Does that sound
Okay,
fair?
that's fair.
All right. Very good. So Yunus Musa and Johnny are in Taylor's team. Let's just round 4. Joe, who you got?
Oh, it's me again. Can't believe this keeps happening. I'm really, really intrigued as to what Taylor's doing, to the point where I'm now very worried that he's building a super team and has access to a dual national pipeline that I don't know about, or has it on good authority that Cole Campbell really is going to be the next Lionel Messi and is going to pick Cole Campbell. I'm worried. I'm freaking out. I don't know where to go, guys. I really don't. So striker is not a huge priority for me as I currently see it, because both Taylor and Graham have strikers. I'm going to go with talent, and I'm going to go with Weston McKennie. I'm fully willing to concede that you don't always know what version of Weston McKennie you're going to get in any given moment. I do think, though, we have a growing sample size that Weston McKennie does turn up in big moments. And I think about the World Cup, where I think Weston McKennie was quite good. I think about US-Mexico games where McKennie is like in the thick of it. I'm trying to build between Weah, who's not afraid to punch a dude, Pulisic, who is not afraid to pull up his shirt and have that man in the mirror moment, between Diego Luna, who Poch referred to as huevos after his very first appearance for the U.S., and or maybe that was his first start, whatever it was. And now in Weston McKennie, I'm going for like a we've got heart and attitude sort of lineup, because I genuinely think the U.S. needs more of that. Also, I think they're a talented group. So I'm going to go with Weston McKennie next.
I like in an 11-man draft, Joe, where you have to fill every position. Having the guy who can play every position feels like an asset.
There is that. Man, Ryan, thank you for saying that. I didn't even really consider that in its fullness, and I should have. Between Weah and McKennie, I've got some nice positional versatility yet. We're just tossing bodies into the 11 with a rough positional framework, and we'll figure the rest out later.
Excellent. You can always put him in goal if it comes to it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's the one thing he has left to do is play in goal.
All right, Graham, you have a double pick. Let's have one of them before we break. What'll it be?
Okay. So until now, as Joe kind of highlighted, I've just picked good starting players for the US. And this player is a starting player, but maybe not quite at the category that I've picked from so far. I am going to take Joe Scally, because I am concerned at the lack of right-back options if I don't take him now. And yeah, Dest is off the board. Beyond Joe Scally, I am struggling to think who starts at right back for my team, so I'll take Joe Scally and put him in at right back.
Graham, can I ask you a genuine question in this process? Because I don't begrudge that pick at all. Do you feel noticeably better about Joe Scally than you do about someone like Marlon Fossey? Or
yes.
I mean, yeah, okay, all right, fair enough.
Nodding as well.
Interesting. I'm just not there. I'm not personally
Joe
there on
Scally has real limitations, right? But
Totally,
we spoke about him earlier in the season, and actually for Gladbach this season, there have been signs, tentative signs at least, of him being a little bit more progressive for that team. So I'm hopeful that he can still add that to his game. He's still young. He's got a bunch of experience under his belt in the Bundesliga. I think he's like top 5 youngest players to reach 100 Bundesliga appearances or something like that. I'm not saying that feeds into my decision making, but yeah, I feel I'm not going to get a huge amount of him out of him going forwards, but I feel pretty secure having him in the back 4. And with Robinson on the left side,
exactly,
I feel like I can have the back 3 in possession and then release Robinson up the left and get him attacking. So, yep.
And also, any player that has gone peroxide blonde is 20% more likely to be picked by Graham. We know that to be true. So, and Joe Scally cements.
He's going to pick Gio next. He really is.
It's my pro blonde agenda.
It's destined.
Yeah. Luna's off the board. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we go to round 5. Join us then. Total Soccer Show, welcome back to our inaugural USMNT draft. We are in round 5. Graham Ruthven, you are on the clock.
Okay, so now it's starting to get a little bit trickier with some of the picks. Just talking through my team just now, I've got Jedi Robinson left back, Joe Scally right back. Feeling pretty good about that. Notable that nobody has touched the centre back pool yet.
Oh, Graham, this is the time for you to build your Celtic back line that you want.
I'll pass on that for now.
Okay. All right.
I've got Tyler Adams at the base of my midfield. Feeling pretty good about that. I have a strategy of what I want to do with that other pick, but I think I'm going to pass on that right now. I have Fowler and Balogun as my centre forward. I feel like now's the time to get some attacking quality around him. So looking at who is still on the board, I am going to take a player who has not featured for the US for a little while due to injury, but
Stu
I would Stuart Holden, yeah. If his knees hold up, I might put him in my midfield alongside Tyler Adams. I'm going to take Malik Tillman off the board. I want a little bit of attacking versatility. He can play a number of positions. If someone else disappears off the board, I can put him in the middle, I can put him out wide. And also, he was having a great season before he got injured, so having him in my starting lineup I actually feel okay about.
Very good. Joe, do you not like that?
No, it's a good pick. Sorry, Graham. Sorry. Why is my mind gone blank? Who did you just pick?
Tillman.
Thank you. I took him off my big board and forgot to write him down on my sheet.
If I may interject.
Yeah, please, Taylor.
Am I the only one who's reading into the fact that when given the opportunity, Graham resoundingly passed on drafting either of the Celtic center backs? Because that feels telling to me that maybe they're not quite as high in his estimations as I might have thought.
It's telling because I know neither of you are going to pick them, so I am counting on them being there.
Well, and to be fair to you, Graham, even though I've given you a hard time for it, I think, which is justified, frankly, but you've also been clear about how you just want to see it. I don't think you have expectations that it's going to blow us all away. But there's the what could be, and so even though I don't personally need to see that play out, I hear where you're coming from. Up next, I'm going to go with what I think is just another talent play, and I'm going to take the first center back off the board for us all, and it is Chris Richards. I got to be honest, I've said this before, I don't feel great about that. I think the center back pool is really, really mushy. But if you're looking for a player who is the most well-rounded guy in this center back pool, I think it is Richards. Between his distribution, and we've seen that for years now, the fact that he is playing at a high level every single week for Crystal Palace, he's a threat on set pieces, which Christian Pulisic will not be taking from my team, by the way. If that factors into voters' decisions at all, Pulisic is off set piece duty. There's some low-hanging fruit for my group. But he's also effective in the air defensively. He's got some mobility. I think he is just a more well-rounded player than any of the other guys. Maybe doesn't have the same plus distribution that Ream does. He doesn't. But I think Richards is going to be a useful central defender for this group. So I'm going Chris Richards.
Okay. Very good. Taylor, back on the clock, baby.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Did not think Luna would be gone. Kind of assumed Tillman would be gone. But now I'm looking at my creative midfield options. They are limited. And then there's still Gio Reyna there. And I don't know if I can draft him with the next pick, but I feel like that might have to happen sooner rather than later. So I am stalling for time. But I think if I'm going to go with my left central attacking midfielder first, I'm going to go with not that position. I'm going to go Luca de la Torre. Luca de la Torre is my next pick. Yep, I was deliberating between him and Tanner Tessman, but I'll go Luca de la Torre next.
That feels like the first sort of proper left field one so far.
He's on my big board, Taylor, and I did not think he was going to be on your pick. Oh, it's still left field, Graham. I went deep on the big board, but I did not know he was going to be your pick. Go on.
He is going to be my pick, and you know what?
Hold on. Tell us more. What's the what attracts you to Luca de la Torre?
Okay. So again, with the way I would like my team to play, it is going to be with basically a 3-2-4-1 with us 40 yards from goal. That's what I keep picturing is the games where we're playing against a bunkered opponent. Now there is a look for this team that allows us to be a 4-5-1, very defensive and counter, which is the other side of the coin that I would like the U.S. to be. But I think that back three is going to facilitate possession. Then I want two midfielders ahead of them. One of whom is going to be Yunus Musa, and I want somebody who I trust to be a bit more quick on the ball with maybe more 1- and 2-touch passing, a little bit faster in his decision-making, a little bit more willing to turn, I think, when the situation is right. And that has been Luca de la Torre, and maybe this is just recency bias with how much we've seen from him at San Diego, but I've really liked what I've seen from him at San Diego, and I think it's been a reminder that he can do kind of the number 8 stuff and do some of the box-to-box stuff, but I think can also be more of a facilitator and creator further forward. So he does a couple different things for this team, but he outweighs other people who are playing at a higher level.
Yeah, I mean, I said it there, he's been fantastic for San Diego so far this season. Him and Anders Dreyer have probably been their best two players. And De La Torre, he's sort of gotten lost in the U.S. shuffle a little bit over the years. He's got 20-plus caps, was playing in La Liga, was earning real minutes there, and is a really reliable player at what he does. He's not flawless, of course, right? I mean, he's not getting picked in the whatever round we're in of this draft if he was a flawless player. But he is really good at the things that he's really good at. And yeah, I don't begrudge that choice whatsoever.
All right, very good. Taylor, you have one more pick.
I do. I'm very glad you don't begrudge me that one, because now do I have to take Gio Reyna? That's where I'm at right now. I think it is revealing how much I don't have enthusiasm for him after this camp. I saw an April Fool's joke yesterday that was like, Gio Reyna announced his intention to leave Dortmund and go to MLS. And I was like, oh, well, that's good. At least he'll get some playing time. And then realized it was an April Fool's joke. Also shows you what my algorithm is doing. Thank you, Ryan. But I don't know. I just, like, it's been so long since we've seen it. I still think it's possible. I still think he's very young. Like, do I think the dictatorship under Taylor Rockwell can drive that out of him? Probably not. But he is still such a talent. He can still be a difference maker. So I'll take Gio Reyna.
All right. Nice. We are assuming full health, of course, but not necessarily full attitude.
It is a very interesting thing in trying to pick these teams that it's critical that it be if everyone were healthy, because so many of these guys are not healthy, and once you start removing them, you see another reason why things feel so threadbare so quickly. Reyna could be one of those, but isn't right now.
Yeah, there's 4, Taylor, of the if I have my notes right, 4 of the guys that you've drafted so far missed the last camp due to injury, right? Pepe is one, or Reyna, I guess, sort of is on the fringes of that. So 3. Yeah. Pepe, Cardoso, and Dest all missed out on that camp. That's a really good point.
Yeah. It also might reveal a little bit of like recency bias and people who avoided that. I would say it's maybe a part of the reason why we all had Jedi as a consensus number 1, or assumed him to be one of the top 2 because he avoided it and therefore looks better by comparison.
Yeah, no, I think that's true.
Joe, you have a tough pick here because you're the only one in this draft who doesn't get a double pick. But,
yeah.
How are you treating this?
Yeah, I am disadvantaged. You're right. Thank you for pointing that out, and I hope the listener keeps that in mind. I'm also still reeling emotionally from Taylor's selection, so I feel like there's a little betrayal going on. On a real note, Taylor, thank you for saving me from myself, because if it had been the 11th pick and he was still on the board and I needed a goalkeeper, ooh, Weston McKennie in goal is about to look real tempting. Okay. This is tough, guys. This is tough. And I'm going to stall for time.
Wait, Joe, can I stall for you? Can I stall for you?
I would love that.
I think that you have just encountered the problem I had, which is that there is a
not knowing who to pick.
There's a clear line of like this is category A. This is group A of players, or like players relative to the lack of talent in their position. And then so like you kind of knock a lot of those out, and then you fall into that next tier, at least pick wise, of like it could be that guy. Like, did Luca De La Torre need to be? Like, I drafted way ahead of expected draft order, basically. Sure. But in that moment, like, I'm like, yeah, he's probably about the same as the other guys who are remaining. And I feel like is that the conundrum you're running into? That there are multiple options, but none of them are like head and shoulders above?
Exactly. Yeah, there's not a lot of standout talent left, and I'm also trying to balance what I think you all are still going to do with what I want this team to look like. I'm also wrestling with how to how far I can push a lack of defensive solidity in my team, to put it that way. Up next, I'm going to pick a player. Graham, you scared me into this pick because you said, quote, you have a plan for what you want to do with your other midfield spot, and then said, I'm going to do it later. And that's really freaking me out. I'm going to go with Jack McGlynn because I want Jack McGlynn in my team. All right, so you were not going to pick Jack McGlynn. That's unfortunate. I'm slowly turning this team into one that I think could legit try to break some blocks and break down some teams, because let's think about the games that the U.S. has, not just against Taylor Rockwell FC and Graham Ruthven United, but also if we're thinking about the U.S. in their most important games coming up in the next 18 months, it is their group stage games at the World Cup, because those are the only games that are guaranteed at the World Cup. 48 teams, 4-team groups. The U.S. will be a pot 1 team. The U.S. is going to play a team of Panama's level or a team of Canada's level in the group stage. Maybe even 3 teams that are sort of in that tier. There'll be one that's probably a little bit better than those 2, but those are about right for the next range. And where did the U.S. really struggle in this past window? Where has the U.S. historically struggled when they try to use the ball? It's creating chances. And defensively, the U.S. was excellent and used the ball well to limit Panama. And against Canada, they didn't really give up a ton, but they did not look sharp enough on the ball. And I thought Jack McGlynn looked really good in January. I thought he looked really good coming off the bench against Panama, even though I didn't quite get why he was entering the game instead of Diego Luna. I want McGlynn to keep the tempo up, right? That's the whole reason he got shipped out of Philly to go to Houston, is because he wants to keep the tempo up. And I guess the Dynamo really wanted a player more so that could do that stuff. And so I want McGlynn at the base of my midfield orchestrating a team that is going to control the ball in big games that they need to win and are expected to win. And the U.S., I don't think, have enough of those players right now.
All right. Sound logic. Thank you very much, Joe. Graham, your team so far is Robinson, Adams, Balogun, Scally, and Tillman. Who next?
So Jack McGlynn was on my radar. If you'd asked me a couple months ago, Joe, would Jack McGlynn be in my midfield too? He probably would have. he's not been great for Houston so far this season. Seems that, or at least he's
Houston
made
in general are just a sinking
they're
ship
bad
at the moment.
They've been bad, but he's made mistakes, right, that have led to goals. I think
Yeah.
he made one at the weekend there, and he's made a couple, 2 or 3 actually over the course of the season. So I feel like I'm just personally a bit stock down on him right now. Whereas coming out of January, I was very much stock up. So if we'd done it then, I might have.
Oh,
might have
that's
already
interesting.
taken
Yeah,
it, but-
timing's interesting. Can I add? Sorry, fair. That's all fair on that front. I don't disagree with that. I don't think McGlynn has been quite what the Dynamo wanted him to be. Their situation truly is horrible at the moment. But also the asset that I should have mentioned of McGlynn's that I didn't, and I'm trying to remedy that, is his set piece delivery. What he didn't do over the weekend against Portland was provide another set piece assist, which I believe puts him up to 2. That's 1 every 3 games. That's a World Cup group stage, folks. Jack McGlynn taking set pieces over Christian Pulisic is like a legitimate game-changing upgrade that if Jack McGlynn is on the field for the United States, I kind of feel like would be almost malpractice not to have McGlynn taking set pieces. Like 30 minutes into his training session, his very first with the Dynamo, Eric Sviatchenko, former FC Midtjylland center back, now like Houston stalwart defensively.
Graham Ruthven neighbour.
Yeah.
Famously, of
Oh,
course.
that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Sviatchenko was talking to Charlie Boehm about how McGlynn is just dropping dime after dime, like 4 in a row. Absolutely delicious set piece assists in training, and that is very much translated to the field. I'm going to have McGlynn taking set pieces. Anyway, sorry, Graham. You're right to criticize him, though, in some ways, no doubt.
Joe, how many Jack McGlynn pieces have you written or read in the last month?
Just all the ones that are out there. That's
Okay.
it.
Is it over under like 5.5?
I haven't written any, and really the Charlie Boehm one is the one that sticks out to me. It's very
right.
very well done. Shout out to Charlie.
You just you had the bio down, which tells me you're selling your team a little bit more, which I do appreciate, but also I think is justified because Jack McGlynn was good and has been impressive, if not for Houston and their lack of impressiveness.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for in a team, Taylor? What can we get you in today? What can we get you in? Soft top?
Low mileage?
Well, I'm definitely not going to, with my pick, I'm definitely not going to opt for a low mileage option because I'm going to take
There
Tim
it
Ream
is.
off the board.
Hey.
I feel like he's probably the best centre back for the US right now, which is a statement in itself, given his rather high mileage. And I do have questions, or I have doubts over whether he's going to reach the cliff edge before the World Cup starts next summer. Like, it's a risk with Tim Ream, but for the time being, he's playing reasonably well. He's good at playing out from the back, and I can put him at left centre back, and with Robinson bombing up the left side, he can move across if he needs to. So yeah, I'll take Tim Ream for my first pick, of this round.
Defense is shaping up nicely, Graham. Who's next for you?
Yeah, this is so. I've taken just like a structural piece there in Tim Ream, like a talent piece for the pool. I'm now going to take a system player to try and make this approach work. I am going to take Haji Wright off the board.
I wish more than anything you'd then said Cameron Carter-Vickers. I would have found that to be the funniest thing you could have possibly said.
I'll leave him for later because no one's going to pick him.
Yeah, you're right.
There you go.
Wait, okay, yeah. So let's talk about Haji Wright and how you're
Yeah,
using him in your
please
system.
let's talk about Haji Wright.
We
Explain
already
yourself,
talked about
Graham.
players who'll be scoring Premier League bangers next season, so there's one, right?
Hey, it's a possibility. Like if Josh Sargent is going to be scoring bangers in the Premier
We're
League
not
next season,
seriously
apparently.
trying to say that Haji Wright is as good a player as Josh Sargent, right?
No,
Just-
did you hear the tone of Graham's voice? No, we're not trying to seriously say that at
It
all.
sounded serious to me. I gotta
It
say
could
that.
happen. No, I don't think that's happening for Graham.
If Haji Wright hadn't been injured earlier in the season, it seems a good bet that he would have got a move to a Premier League team in the January window. There was
does?
genuine interest in
He does
him.
believe it, Joe. You were right.
Yeah.
I'm not a massive fan of Josh Sargent. Like,
Okay.
well, Norwich mid-table in the Championship. I don't think that he's going to get them promoted anytime soon. Anyway, Haji Wright. So I want a bit of pace. I want like something in the wide areas. I've got Mallet Tillman for the time being. I'm having him in my midfield unit. I'm having him as the number 10. That might change as we go on, depending on who else I get on the wings. But Haji Wright, I think I'm quite comfortable having him on either side. But he has played most commonly for Coventry this season on the left. He's got 10 goals in 20 games, 14 starts this season, which is pretty incredible for a wide player.
Top player.
And he's also he also scored the greatest World Cup goal in USMNT history, of course, at the 2022 World Cup. Do you all remember that? He definitely meant it. So yeah, I'll take Haji Wright.
Very good. All right. Joe, your team so far is Pulisic, Weah, Luna.
I was praying you were about to take us to break. Anyway, please
No,
continue.
we go on. We go on, Joe, with your team, which is Pulisic, Weah, Luna, McKennie, Richards, McGlynn, and...
I don't know. I'm struggling. I'm trying to figure out what profile left back I'm looking for, which is difficult because none of them are very good. I'm having a hard time with that. I'm having a hard time figuring out where exactly I want to add. What would make this easier is if there was an obvious goalkeeper to pick. And I still think there is a number one option here.
Is there,
but
though?
That's the thing, is even though I want to hype up a potential Matt Turner selection as being like the right and obvious thing to do here, I don't know that it is. Look, I'm hesitant to ding Matt Turner too much for that mistake. It was a mistake against Panama, right? He's too tight to his near post. The guy's not playing every week, and it's a problem. It is not like he has been a regular game changer for the U.S. Do I feel a bit better about Turner than Schulte or Steffen or whoever else you want to go with? Genuinely, my answer is yes. Even if Matt Turner doesn't end up on my team.
Guzan. No?
Oh, don't tempt me with.
No,
Hey, if
not one of you joined me in that chant.
If we want to add fight, I want to do it that way. I'm going to go with Mark McKenzie in my next pick. I don't think it's a really attractive pick. And I know, Taylor, you proclaimed yourself as out on Mark McKenzie recently. I don't know exactly.
To be back in.
I don't know what spurred you on that, I suppose, other than he's never great for the United States. I thought he was mostly okay in March, and he's mostly been okay for this team. I think really the reason why he's on my team in this moment is because he's decent in the air, and especially decent when it comes to his ability to play out of the back, even if his defensive reads at times are a bit slow. And maybe, Taylor, for you, that's the thing that has sort of dinged him in your estimations, and I guess I'm right there with you, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's just it feels like similar to like what I said before about like Upamecano and Kim Min-jae, honestly. They're just good for like one sort of mistake a game, and you never know if it's actually going to cost you. I feel like McKenzie has one of those moments. Maybe that's the thing that I'm just like overly paying attention to, but it definitely looms large. So I had him
fair enough.
on the board, but I will admit and say that he was third.
I would like the listener to recognize that I've drafted every U.S. eligible player in the reasonable pool whose name begins with Mick. So I don't know exactly what that means, but I do believe we're working on a McDonald's sponsorship. So stay tuned.
Wow, 3 Mooks.
Yeah,
Mook trip.
some to think about.
Why didn't I see that? That's the Scot.
Yeah.
Some to think about.
Good point. All right, Taylor, you have 2 picks. Let's have one of them before we take a little breather.
So both?
Who is it? Yeah, fine.
Okay, here's where we might have to have some conversation. I am going to proudly and unapologetically select Nathaniel Brown to be my left back for this
No
US
way.
national team.
No way.
And we all
Absolutely
know
not.
he's eligible, and we all know that is totally cool. So
Absolutely
Nathaniel Brown
not.
will be starting for my team.
No. On a legitimate note, he is not eligible, as things stand, to play for the United States men's national team. To get there, he would have to file a one-time switch to play for the United States.
Okay.
He has not yet filed that. He is not
problem.
eligible, Taylor Rockwell.
There were
to play for
rumors
the
as of a
US.
month ago that he had filed that.
Did you start these rumors?
No, I did not. I promise. I looked it up, and yeah, that's supposedly why he wasn't called up for Germany. Sure, but also, yeah, I have seen those rumors. He is eligible though, right? He would have to file the one-time switch, but he is currently eligible.
He would have to do something to become
I guess
eligible.
he's not.
Is the words that you just said.
You're right. That doesn't quite work the same. But he
If
could
I'm
be
being honest,
eligible.
Taylor, this is all sour grapes because you thought more creatively than me, and you do deserve some credit.
I'm happy to not select him, but I will then accuse you of cowardice.
That's fine. I can accept that.
Okay, so you're saying he does not count.
I mean, I don't know. No, it's not just about me. Graham, Ryan, what do you guys think? You guys decide.
Has he been in one of those preliminary squads?
Nope.
Depending on what I say now, might compromise my plans for later. So,
I think, are we opening up too much of a can of worms if we allow this one, is the question, right?
Is that can of worms named Lucio Acosta?
can I have Jonathan David?
I'm
So,
not
yeah,
allowing it.
He's
Make
not
a new pick,
eligible.
Taylor.
All right.
He's not
well
eligible.
Played. Well played, Taylor. Well played.
All right.
Make
Well,
a new pick,
you
please.
said he's not eligible.
Oh, make
right?
it. Oh, I thought you said I'm allowing it. My bad.
No. He shut me down pretty hard. Graham, who's faster between Austin Trusty and Cameron Carter-Vickers?
Trusty is more athletic than CCV.
The bowling ball or the gazelle is the question. I
That's
suppose.
what I needed to know. Then I will go with Zach Steffen, to spite you all. That is where I'm going to go with my next selection. How do you feel about that?
That was a ride.
Yeah.
That wasn't
Not
funny.
one of my
That
own
was
making,
weird.
I would say.
We went
Very
from Nathaniel Brown to teasing Trusty to Zach Steffen.
Because of competitive cowardice.
I know that we need to do a break. I do think, Taylor, your attempt to pick Brown and my reaction to it is really telling. First of all, that I really want to win this, and I don't like to lose.
I believe I'm the one accusing you of competitive cowardice. I mean, so I equally would like to win.
It's going both ways. But I also think that it is telling about how we rate Nathaniel Brown in terms of like the value that he would add to this team. I think he has been good enough in the Bundesliga that if he was to decide that he wanted to play for the United States, he would be a lock for the World Cup. I really do believe that. Maybe if he was at a deeper position, like an equal player in central midfield, we would have more questions, right? Where there is a lot of depth, if not a lot of obvious top-end talent in central midfield, or at center back as another example, right? But he doesn't play in those spots. And even if he did, he might still be a lock at his level in a different spot for a World Cup roster. I think a Nathaniel Brown commitment, in one way, it might mean nothing for the U.S. because he might never see the field over Jetta Robinson. On the other hand, suddenly you have a backup that you feel pretty darn good about playing minutes if a disaster happens and Jetta Robinson isn't available. So I really do think that whole back and forth was a bit telling about how good Brown is and about what he could be for this U.S. team in a break glass sort of situation.
Yes. It's why I was trying to get him in there, because he would be not only a difference maker to your point, Joe, but also just like, breath of fresh air. There's possibility. There's optimism. There's hope. There's Gio Reyna. I think I understand entirely why that is also kind of a cheat code, because it is basically being like, what if we had another Dest that I could just pick up? Would that be cool? So instead, Zach Steffen will be my left back, or maybe my goalkeeper. I'm not sure which.
All right. Time will tell. We will see. Let's take one more quick break. When we come back, the final 4 picks of the USMNT draft. Join us then. Total Soccer Show, welcome back to our inaugural USMNT draft. Listener, please don't fall off the edge of your seat. We know you're on it right now. We go now back to Taylor Rockwell, whose team, lest we forget, consists of Dest, Pepe, Cardoso, Musa, De La Torre, Reyna, not Nathaniel Brown, and Steffen. Who's next, Taylor?
First of all, I hope everyone is on the edge of their seats. This is dramatic stuff. Made even more dramatic when I draft Georgi Mihailovic to be my other central attacking midfielder on the left side. Georgi Mihailovic coming into Team Rockwell.
Love it. Very good. Joe,
this is where I admit that Georgie was not on my big board, Taylor.
That's fine with
well
me.
played. That's well played.
Right.
He's been
How
good.
many boards do you have, Joe? Do you have a little board?
No, just big. I only do big. It's like Texas,
It's him slightly over Brian Gutierrez, mostly because Gutierrez, I think, is like the hot hand. Not that Georgie isn't, but I think there's just that little bit of difference there.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. No, I think Georgie's a really good player. All right, I'm just gonna do it. I've been No, I do legitimately. I've been postponing this. I'm gonna pick John Tolkien, another guy who was injured for the last camp. I mean, I don't know if he would have been there anyway. I'm not in love with this pick, if that wasn't clear, but I do think that Tolkien is the best of the available left backs at doing what I want, which I think I made clear is 2 things. First and foremost, personality. 3 things. Strike that. Personality. He has that, and even if he sometimes lacks the tether to be attached to the ground or seeing the spherical curve of the earth, I do think Tolkien has some personality to him. You can't take the jersey out of the boy, as it turns out. I think John Tolkien is a really useful possession player, and that's a huge reason why Sandro Schwartz liked him so much last year, is that he wanted his Red Bulls to be more possession-oriented, and I've talked with John Tolkien about this before. Didn't always love being the Red Bull Academy because they never got to pass the ball, darn it. John Tolkien likes to pass the ball and is quite good at it. And the third thing is his set pieces. Another left-footed set piece taker. I mean, he's scored banger after banger and provided so much good service to the Red Bulls over the years. Made that move to Germany. John Tolkien is a useful player, and I think is a guy who could reasonably start a game and you wouldn't totally freak out, which is a pretty low bar. But John Tolkien, welcome to the squad, bud.
Oh, welcome, John. Thank you very much indeed, Joe. Graham, let's get a pair of picks from you, please.
Okay, so I need a goalkeeper. That's how soccer works. I've yet to pick a goalkeeper. I want to do something imaginative, but Matt Turner is still right there. So I'm going to be boring. I'm just going to take Matt Turner.
After the March window. Wow.
Yeah, so my next pick might give away what our strategy
I'm
is
pretty
gonna
confident
be.
Joe was really hoping that Patrick Schulte would fall to him, is what I'm now realizing. Because I don't think he wanted to pick Matt Turner, and I don't think he wanted to pick Zach Steffen, so I think he's okay.
I didn't want
Patrick
the guy
Schulte.
who's not playing, who hasn't played a club game in 12 years and just made a howler with the United States. That seems
Man,
weird.
you turning on Reyna and Turner in one
I know
fell
what's
swoop
going on. It's a real
is-
heel turn.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know how to feel
Turner.
about these things.
Oh, nice.
So my next pick is Brendan Aronson.
Yep.
Because, and this feeds into why I've picked Matt Turner as well, and why I went with him over Patrick Schulte, because in terms of talent, I feel like there's almost nothing between the two of those. And if I was picking, if I was coaching a more proactive possession-based team, I would probably go for Patrick Schulte. My team is not going to be possession-based. We are going to be runners. We are going to be stodgy and then play Nuno ball in the attack. And Brendan Aronson, his progressive carry numbers are not actually that great. Haji Wright's, that's the reason I went for Haji Wright. He's got excellent progressive carry numbers, 0.81 per, more than that. He's in the 81th percentile, 3.98 per game, which is really high. So he's going to carry the ball. I'm going to have Balogun on the counter-attack. And then what I imagine for Aronson is him playing the role that he has played for Leeds a little bit this season, where he is the secondary run into the box. So anything that comes off Balogun, attacking anything into the box, is going to fall to Brendan Aronson. He's actually a pretty decent finisher. At least his numbers suggest that he's a pretty decent finisher. So that's why I'm going to take Aronson. And Matt Turner's not going to have to do anything with his feet, because we are basically just going to launch it into space from the back and have people run onto it. So as a shot stopper, I feel generally okay about Matt Turner in that role, although after the March window, maybe not so much. So
Okay. I'm feeling good about the hoofball tactics. Very good, Graham. Joe, who's next?
All right. As I see it, I really also please listen to the rest of this pod. By the way, as I see it, I really only have one pick left to make. Hence why I'm trying to convince people to stick around.
Technically,
'Cause
you
I
have
think-
three, but
I have three, but really I only have one. Unless Taylor or Graham have a wrench to throw, I need a goalkeeper, I need a striker, and I need another right-sided player. I don't think I'm at risk of losing out on the goalkeeper of my pick from the rest of the pool. Same probably goes for the striker. So I'm going to pick my right-sided player here, just in case anything chaotic happens. The dilemma I've had this whole time, and I left the door open at the beginning, was where should I use Tim Weah for this team? Should I use him as a right back? Should I use him a little higher up as a winger? In possession, it doesn't matter, right? Because Tim Weah, when he's playing on the right side, is high and wide regardless. Sure, there's a tiny bit of nuance in the types of runs that you make if you're going to join that attacking line from fullback versus the runs you make if you're already in the attacking line after the ball turns over. But it is a marginal difference. The real difference is Tim Weah defending as a right back or defending as a winger. I feel confident that Tim Weah has the experience at a higher level than most of the games that the U.S. plays, playing as a right back, to put him in that role for this team. He's done it for Juventus. He's done it for Lille. I'm going to go with Weah as a more right-sided player. And I'm going to pick Alejandro Zendejas for my last pick. No way, Taylor! For those listening, Taylor just held up a piece of paper with Zendejas written on the back. That's well played. I'm going to pick Zendejas. He has been one of the most impactful players for one of the best teams in Mexico for multiple years now. I think that he wasn't in the March camp was a little bit notable, given some of the lack of wingers there. I'm not banging down the door for Zendejas to be in a camp if I take off my used car salesman hat for a second. But in sort of choosing between him and Brian Gutierrez and maybe Paxton Aronson as those other right-sided attacking players, Zendejas fits the role of a winger more than Guti, who's playing as a center mid these days. And Aronson, I'm just really afraid of breaking Paxton Aronson in half at times. Zendejas fits with my ethos of trying to make this team more dangerous with the ball because he is that kind of combine and pick out a pass sort of player. So I'm going to have Zendejas as part of this team on the right side.
Love it, Joe. Thank you. Taylor, 2 picks, please.
2 picks indeed. I believe I need both my center backs, and I need a left-sided defender. I think I am pretty safe in these selections because I think you both have a left-sided center back. You both have a left-sided defender. Neither one of you is going to take my right center back either. So I'm just going to go with Austin Trusty to start us off because I need a center back in there. He is, from everything I have heard, a very fast center back who is capable of being the one to chase people down. I forget where I heard that. So I'm going to say Austin Trusty to start things off.
Very good. Who else?
All right. So I need 2 players left, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's do it. Leonard Maloney, right center back.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Taylor,
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be the only one who would ever consider him for that draft, and I was leaving him until the end. I wasn't certain I was going to pick him, but he kind of fits with like my destroyers in the middle of midfield strategy, so he was absolutely on my radar. but you've gone there.
I have, and I've taken him as a center back because I know that's the only way Joe would ever allow him into a national team, as Joe has expressly said on this show. So I feel comfortable with that selection.
In a 2, though, Taylor. It's just,
No, in possession, it's a 3.
I see. In defense, the hard part, it's a 2.
4-5-1, yeah.
Nice. All right.
He's in there.
Lovely.
I love it.
All right.
It's a
Don't
crafty
worry
pick. It's a very crafty pick.
Joe, you have 2 picks remaining. Big Pat's just sitting there waiting for his call up.
He's on the depth chart, Ryan. He's on the big board. I'm really tempted to galaxy brain this and pick Jesus Ferreira because it would be a lot of fun, and seeing him combined with Diego Luna would make me happy. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick Josh Sargent. That is, I think, the obvious answer. I really don't think, genuinely, I'm not trying to sell my team here, and I know I kind of go back and forth on this. I'm being completely honest here. I really don't know how much difference there is between Sargent and Balogun and Pepe. I do think Pepe is probably the best 9. Like, if I had to start a game tomorrow, I would prefer to have Ricardo Pepe over either one of those guys. I don't know how big the difference is between Sargent and Balogun these days. I don't know how big the difference is between Sargent and Pepe these days. I think there is one, but I think it's slight, and I think it's probably larger between an Ajiman and those other guys, or between a Ferreira or a Brian White or a Brandon Vasquez. So I am going to go with Josh Sargent as my number 9.
Very good. Okay. Graham, you have 2 picks to close out your team. Let's do it.
Okay, so I need a centre-back, a right-sided centre-back, and I need another central midfielder. Had Taylor not gone for Leonard Maloney, I might have gone there. Although
Where would you
that
have put
might
him,
be
Graham?
Alongside Tyler Adams, because I want 2. We're going to sit on the edge of the box.
I like it.
And his defensive numbers are incredible. And I'm not relying on him to do anything else. Just break things up, and then we're away. He just needs to put it into space. So
You're building Steve Cherundolo's national team. I love it.
Yeah, well, essentially, yeah. Which is not a team that I would like to watch, but in international soccer, maybe that's the way to go. You know, Didier Deschamps has done it for the last 10 years. I am going to go for CCV as my right-sided centre back. I would have gone for Noake Banks, but he's left-sided, and I've already got Tim Ream, so I'll go for CCV because I think putting Banks on the right side is probably not going to work. And then my final pick for central midfield, I'm going to rely on the numbers here. Aidan Morris, his defensive numbers are better than I would have expected, and he's got really good passing numbers. We know that. He's improved, I think, as a rhythm builder for Middlesbrough this season, until his injury, certainly. So I'm going to go for Aidan Morris over Tanner Tessman, which was my other pick for that position. But I'll go for Morris. I'll lean on the numbers, what the stats say.
And Morris fits the pit bull sort of build that you're describing in midfield. If you can't get Maloney, Morris might even be better at that stuff. I don't know if he is, but Aidan Morris is a dog. Like that's kind of his whole thing. And on that alone, I think absolutely fits the thing that you're trying to build in defense, Graham. So I like that. That's fun.
Love it. Very good. Joe, final pick. Who's it going to be?
Little Pat, Patrick Schulte, not Big Pat, Patrick Ajiman. I'm gonna go with Little Pat Schulte. When I started this out, I didn't really know I was building a possession-based team, but it turns out I just am sort of trying to do a Columbus Crew light version with the national team. So Patrick Schulte, come on down. You're between the sticks. Good luck, pal.
Wonderful stuff. Taylor Rockwell, you are on the clock.
Caleb Wiley is going to be my left back / left winger. I think other options would be what? DeJuan Jones and Max Arfston.
Kevin
I like
Paredes
DeJuan Jones
is
a
in
lot,
there too.
but I liked a lot of what I was seeing from Caleb Wiley prior to him getting hurt. So I will go with Wiley to round out my oft-injured 11.
There we go. Off the injured 11 complete, as are all the 11s. Okay, so we are going to have the Discord decide who has the best team. So I'm going to give each of you the opportunity to pitch your team and tell us what it's all about. Taylor, your team is Dest, Pepe, Cardoso, Musa, Della Torre, Reina, Stefan, Mihailovic, Trusty, Maloney, Wiley. Why should you win?
I will hold up the approach that I have. So this is the approach in attacking possession. So we are like 40 yards from goal. We have Trusty and Maloney pushed up with Johnny dropping in between them. So it's the old central midfielder dropping between the two center backs. But now the center backs are pushed pretty far forward. You've got Luca Della Torre and Yunus Musa as your two sort of like base of the midfielders who also screen in case you give the ball away and you need someone to defend. Georgi Mihailovic and Gio Reyna are your more kind of central attacking playmakers, pulling strings, trying to make things happen. Ricardo Pepi is your number 9, who's getting on the end of crosses from Serginho Dest, who's wide on the right, and from Caleb Wiley, who's wide on the left. Or he's dropping in to help with possession play and find little combinations through the middle to unlock a compact defense. And then when this team defends deeper, it is Caleb Wiley as my left back, Austin Truster and Leonard Maloney centrally, with Serginho Dest as the right back. Yunus Musa as your right midfielder, but he and Dest can switch off, so he moves from Musa as a central midfielder in attack to a right back in defense, or a right midfielder in defense. Then it's Reyna and like Johnny Cardosa as my deeper midfielders, with I think Georgie ahead of them, but depending on who wants to do more defensive work, it could be Georgie deeper with Reyna ahead. Luca De La Torre becomes a left midfielder, and then Ricardo Pepi is up top to kind of help with counter-attacking play. So there you go.
Okay. Is that enthusiasm in your voice?
It really is. I was just trying to get through it all. I really like this team. I will explain why. Thank you, Ryan. Because I think it gives us more opportunities in more areas of the pitch than we have had previously. It has more creativity, but also more numbers centrally. It has a good goal scorer, but it has, at least in Serginho Dest, a player who I trust to take people on, to try to beat people and make things happen. With Caleb Wiley, I think can do a very serviceable attacking job and occasionally create a zone. And then defensively, I think it still gives us a lot of stability and strength, and then the ability to play on the counter and break quickly, usually through the right side with Musa and Dest. I feel like that could be a really good combination. So I am very excited about them. It combines kind of technical players, aggressive players, hardworking players, and that's exactly what I want my team to be. Aggressive, hardworking, but technical at the same time.
Oh, very nice. Born salesman, Taylor Rockwell. He's going door to door to sell knives after this one.
Darn right.
Love to see it. Very good indeed. Joe Lowry, your team, to remind everybody: Pulisic, Weah, Luna, McKinney, Richards, McGlynn, McKenzie, Tolkien, Zendeas, Sargent, and Schulte. Tell us why you love it.
Yeah, first of all, Taylor, I'll take one of those new knives. I cut my finger yesterday on the knife
no.
we do have, and now it's in timeout for the foreseeable future, so I do need a new one. As far as the strong points of my team, I think almost objectively, I have built the strongest attack of any group that's out there. When you look at the two first-choice wingers for the United States in Pulisic and Tim Weah, you look at Diego Luna as the most reliable playmaker in this pool, which I recognize is more of an indictment of the pool than anything else, but that's what we're dealing with here. And you look at deeper downfield, having Weston McKennie and Jack McGlynn at the base to orchestrate possession. I think the attacking play is really, really strong in this group, and that's before you get to Zendejas providing that inverting from the right side. I think the attack is really good, legitimately. I think possession play is going to be a strength of this team, and that I'm trying to solve for what has been the U.S.'s biggest weakness. It's not the defensive side of the game. It is that they struggle to create chances in most games, that they consistently make poor decisions in the final third. And I think the group of players that I have both have chemistry with each other. When you think about Weah and Pulisic and Sargent having that established group, but also Luna, who can bring in some new ideas to that. So I think possession play is going to be a strength of this team rather than a weakness, or at least a strength in the way it hasn't been for the United States. And then I'm also talking about we spent so much time after the March window talking about how the U.S. didn't seem up for it, right? Didn't seem super energetic. And you know who does seem up for anything at any time is Diego Luna in this team. You know who's hungry for opportunities? It is Jack McGlynn. I think this team is going to have that attitude and personality and John Tolkien as well fits in that category, to actually be up for stuff on a regular basis. And it should be the bare minimum. Like, you need to have that as table stakes. And it doesn't feel like it always is. And I think it is certainly in my team. I think the center back pairing I have is the strongest of the three teams. When you look at Mark McKenzie and Chris Richards, who are probably two of the top three on most depth charts. Maybe not all, and maybe I'm wrong about that. But that's my read on the center back pairing. So there's a real strong defensive anchor, at least relative to what's available. And then also, I mentioned it, but set pieces, right? The U.S. should be a better team on set pieces than they are, frankly. There's no excuse for a mid-tier national team not to put real... If England can do it, one of the best in the world can do it, there is zero reason why the United States should not be emphasizing set pieces. I am changing that with two of the best set piece servers in the game, in the pool. Sorry, I want to be clear, in the pool. Jack McGlynn and John Tolkien. And with legit targets in especially Chris Richards and Josh Sargent with his aerial ability, and then the best in the pool in Weston McKennie. So I think I've got the possession play from back to front with Schulte. I think the attack is really strong. I think the center back pairing is strong. I think set pieces are an obvious strength of this group. And maybe on top of all that, you have the actual attitude and personality and heart that it seems like the U.S. lacks too often. So that's my team.
Wow. Very good. Very good. Good spine there, Joe. I like it a lot. Let's go to Graham, whose team is Robinson, Adams, Balogun, Scally, Tillman, Ream, Wright, Turner, Aronson, Brendan Aronson, Carter Vickers, and Morris. So, Graham, tell us about it.
So, one of the biggest failings that the US has had over the last couple of years has been this idea of, we're going to be a possession team. We're going to change the way that the world thinks about American soccer. Throw all of that out the window, right? We are going to Morocco this World Cup. And that is why this team is the best team out of the three. Because you look at that back four, right? You have got 3 of the starting 4 for the US. Now, they might not be the world's best defenders, but you can only pick from what the pool is, right? And those are the 3 you've got. Jedi Robinson, Joe Scally. Hey, has he been a starting right back? Has he been a starting right back for
I just wanted
Mauricio
to let you
Pochettino?
know, Graham, that I was actively listening.
Joe,
please continue.
we were silent during yours.
Sorry.
We were silent during yours. I wanted to make multiple candidates.
Neither one of us just lied during ours, though, Taylor. It's worth noting. But go ahead, Graham.
I'm not gonna lie. He lost me on. Are we going to Morocco, or are we trying to be like Morocco? Because
No,
I was
we're gonna
thrown
play
by
like
that.
Morocco did at the last World Cup. Or you can look to Nuno.
Okay.
You can look to Nuno's Forest as well. And like Nuno's Forest, there's no sign of Gio Reyna in this team either, right? So Joe Scally, am I right or am I wrong? I think has started every competitive game at right back for Mauricio Pochettino. So I have the starting right back for the USMNT. I've got Jedi Robinson, I've got Tim Ream, and I've got CCV, who is the one out of the back 4 who's not the starting player, right? But who started in the last game for the USA? Oh, CCV in the left-sided centre back. I've also got Matt Turner. I've got 2 dogs at the base of the midfield. I've got Tyler Adams. We all know how good he is. We've got Aidan Morris to partner him in that midfield. And we are going to play into space. We're going to be on the edge of our box. It might not be pretty, but it seems like people want a spirited, hard-working team, effective team, right, that can win tournament soccer, and that's what I've tried to build. So I've got Haji Wright, who is an excellent progressive carrier, who has, in the past, done at least something for the US and has had a good season for Coventry so far. Brendan Aronson has his limitations, but this team is going to lean into like Red Bull ball. We're going to play into attacking space. And then we've got Fowler and Balogun. Remember how good he was for Rem when they played in the counter-attack?
Very faintly.
That is the Balogun we're going to get in this team, and Joe knows it. So, that's it. It is a team that has been built with a system in mind. It might not be the prettiest, but LAFC wins stuff, and the USMNT is going to win stuff at this World Cup with this team.
There you go. Perhaps the least fun to watch, but maybe the best. Who knows? Let's put it to the Discord one more time. If you want to join in on the fun, by the way, patreon.com/Total Soccer Show. We'll do the voting there. Lots of fun indeed. Bonus episodes, bonus videos, etc. and so on. Patreon.com/Total Soccer Show. Woo! Draft over. Joe, shoulders drop. We feeling good?
I'm feeling good. That was fun, man. Arguments were compelling across the board. One of the reasons I was really interested in doing this exercise was to explore this pool more. And I hope for listeners, there was also, the fun of having us compete against each other, but also like trying to take stock of where different positions are and where the strengths and weaknesses are of this team coming out of March, looking ahead to the Gold Cup and looking ahead in a much more real way to the World Cup. I think it's an interesting exercise to go through to see where the strengths are, to see where the weaknesses are, and to see who we left on the board when maybe some of those guys aren't always left off of rosters.
Wonderful stuff. There we go. That concludes the inaugural Total Soccer Show USMNT draft. Listener, thank you for joining us on this one. Always should say that if you enjoy this content, 5-star reviews on Apple and all those kind of things are much appreciated. If you didn't, don't. Taylor Rockwell, thank you very much indeed for participating here.
Thank you very much, Ryan Bailey. Thank you very much, listeners. Thank you much to my worthy competitors, and especially to Joe Lowry for mentioning Josh Sargent, I believe behind his defensive midfielders in terms of attacking players he was excited to have on his team. So there you go. There you go. That's my parting words. I'm glad I'm no longer competitive about this.
There we go. Till the very end. Joe Lowry, thank you very much, sir.
All right, well, if we're doing barbs, Graham's team's not LAFC because there's not one Denny Bouanga in the roster that you've built, Graham. There's not even one Denny Bouanga relative to the U.S. pool in the roster that you built. I'm done. This was fun, though.
I feel
Thanks,
so
guys.
bad for Ryan. I don't think he knew what he was signing up for.
I didn't think we were doing barbs at the end, but Graham, would you like to do one? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan Bailey. I don't have a barb, so Ike for president? I don't know.
Excellent. Very good. All right, listener, thank you very much for joining us on this USMNT Weekly. We hope you had a good time. We certainly did. We'll be back on the feed very shortly indeed. But for now, bye!